Hi, and welcome everyone. It's Lavender Sky Panther. It's Friday, April 14th, 2023. Back with you for a reading today. Hopefully, there's something in here that will either uplift you, bring something good to your life, or otherwise just be something simply that you need to hear today. Anyway, let's get into it. So, I will go ahead and present three groupings to show you today that you can select one, two, or all three if you like. Also, a little disclaimer, even though I say, pick a group, I more than likely will wander all over across three groups if I feel like cross-referencing something. So just keep that in mind. Okay, now we will have some bonus cards in these little glass candle jars. A new use for recycling for them. And hopefully I get to them. So I really hope I don't forget. If I do, I'll put it in a little post show, like on the community page or something. So, but I won't. Let's get into it, okay? All right. So we've got the group one, and I got my little sassafras root pointer here. Is on the left-hand side. That's the Selenite tower. We have black tourmaline that was found, if this means anything to anybody, in 2008 out in California. And then we have a geode over here, which then I have to show you the real beauty and magic of it is when we flip it over. So it's got, it's going to be hard to tell in this lighting, but it's got some nice, actually like pink and gray hues to it. So anyway, we'll get to all of this later. Now, when I woke up, I just, I always ask first, should I even do a reading and bring, good stuff out there into the world if I can, or whatever needs to be said. And then I go from there. So the answer was yes, do one. And then I just kind of had a slight vision this time of using the fairy tarot, the animal spirit deck, and also the sacred forest. And then once I actually got going and setting things up, the crystals also wanted to come out. And then the bonus, I thought, usually I always say it's really not my thing to do the romance cards, but yes, the romance angels wanted to come out just as a bonus feature. Okay, so here we go. Let's get into it. I hope you made your selection. If not, you'll be covered either way we go with this. So what I want to start off with is I'm going to do things a little maybe no, not a little differently. Okay, let's turn over the fairy tarot. This is going to be your overall message for the day. I mean, for your group. Seven of Spring, and we've got a gorgeous fairy here with a bow and arrow, and the moon at her back. And let's see, be assertive. Don't back down from what you believe. Courageously stand up for yourself. It's a powerful and beautiful message, all wrapped in one. And what I'm going to do is go through all the cards now. We'll just focus. This will be our, again, maybe something in here means something to somebody. The seven or springtime, the colors and the beautiful wings, the overall. And again, one more time, the message, be assertive. Don't back down from what you believe. Courageously stand up for yourself. Okay? So now, let's see what else we've got. So we're going to get to the animal spirit cards. And these were really kind of weird today. So okay, snake spirit, time to heal. Now it's funny with this card because it kind of flopped out when I wasn't really ready to select cards. It's number 55, which fives are always change. They represent change. I want to take this time to remind everyone to go to the, if you just search on the internet, it's an Australian blog site called Joanne Sacred Scribes, Angel Numbers. All the positive aspects of these numbers are listed. You can type in anywhere from 1 to infinity digits, and it gives you the meanings of some of these numbers. So I invite you to go look there for more meanings. Now, of course, the usual read on this is, the snake obviously represents change, sometimes fertility, any number of things. In this case, I feel a slightly different message is going to come out with it. Now, I am not a snake fan. I mean, I honor, the spirit and all animals and everything, but I just got to say, yeah, that's not my thing. However, maybe one of the messages that's going to come out is to face your fears. I do have a story about that. But what I do want to do is turn over all the cards and then, get into it. Excuse me. So, and pardon me, I got to do this all in one take for time's sake. So I hope it goes smoothly. If not, bear with me. All right. So now we have Swan Spirit, time for a deep dive. Got some beautiful flowers. They look a little like plumeria to me, but I know that's not what they are. Okay, so the swan, number 6. And then we're going to go down into the Sacred Forest Oracle cards. So let's see what we got. And we have Earth Spirit, stability. And we have a beautiful fairy here sitting on a rock, so she's grounded in the earth. And look, she also has some swans in the picture. Number 14, like today's date. except that's also a number 5, harkening back to change card here. So this is already looking to be an interesting read. Now, the crystal, daily crystal inspiration, we've got a beautiful green stone here. Jade, be the bigger person. I like that. And now we have this also gorgeous stone here. Azurite, get laser focused. All right, so let's go through this. And this might have to be a quicker swim through the pond, so to speak, but let's get to it. So I know I've already done it, but we've got the overall message: be assertive and don't back down, courageously stand up for yourself, stand up for what you believe. And right away, then I'm going to come into, I don't think I'm going to look at the imagery so much. I'm going to do a little close-up so maybe you just see what jumps out at you in that card. I don't really have anything more to say about that one, other than she's kind of like in a stag formation. If anyone's familiar with cheerleading and stuff in the U.S., you kind of do, it's like, I guess, a partial stag, or there's probably a better name for it, because, you know, with the spirit animals and everything we talk about, the stag actually has come up a lot whenever I draw cards for some reason. But anyway, you know, I really didn't want to even pull the snake spirit, to be honest. And again, I do honor the beauty in all animals, and that's going to get to my little snake story. The snake, though, in this position, you know, it rises up when cornered or threatened. That'll tie in with my little story. But I'm just talking about that because actually, look, we got the nice rust colors between the two cards. And even though she's, you know, pulling back and looking down, her overall motion is going up to the upper left of the card, as is kind of the snake, too, in his position, or her position, its position. But anyway, my little snake story is, I think, again, getting back to maybe this message is also about facing your fears and overcoming them, whether you want to or not. They may find you to face, and are you ready? And if not, you know, it might keep coming at you, you know, the same experience keeps striking at you, so to speak, until you do face it and conquer it. My story is, I do a lot of yard work. I'm out there cutting the grass, trimming trees, doing anything and everything, cleaning the roof, cleaning gutters, like all over the place where you might encounter these. Now, luckily where I'm at, I'm not so close to the swamp where there's venomous ones. We have pretty harmless ones, just black racers, ringneck snakes, things that don't harm. They do keep the rodent population down. They do a lot of excellent things for the ecosystem. So just because you see a snake in the yard, this just applies to people who are, you know, totally petrified of them. Obviously, there's a lot of other nature lovers out there, I know, and you have a different relationship with all animals. But for anybody who isn't there yet, like I wasn't, you know, probably even 5 years ago, I got into this, overcoming it. But they're going to be around, and, you know, it's, if they're there, they do a lot of good. So just because you see one, I mean, of course, unless it's venomous, and you've got, especially if you've got small children and animals around, you've got to maybe call for assistance and take care of that. But excuse me, especially if it's not harmful, so to speak. I mean, the non-venomous ones, if it bites you, I think the worst risk you have is if, you know, something happens around the wound site itself, if it gets infected or something. So just clean it if it's, you know, non-venomous. But the point is that, you know, I had a couple of very unexpected encounters when I talk about facing your fears. The first time I was cutting the grass, one kind of jumped across, and they are fast. They're called black racers for a reason. Those things haul butt. And it, you know, zoomed across and between me, and I was about to go back to the lawnmower, and I just like instinctively like screamed, of course, the girl screamed, and jumped back and fell on my butt. And I was like, you know, but then, you know, I got back up and went back to the lawnmower. I'm like, why did I do that? That's just so ridiculous. This snake is clearly wants to get out of the way, does not want to entangle with something like me, you know, bigger and standing upright. So that was, you know, strike one, so to speak. And then I was going, literally not really kind of paying attention, grabbing down to go get this garden hose. And then all of it here, I'll pan around for people who don't like to look at snakes. But it really is actually a beautiful animal when you get to the end of my story here. If I can focus on this thing. Anyway, so I'll just kind of pan out in general while I finish my story. So strike two was I went to go grab the garden hose and didn't even really look. And lo and behold, there happened to be a black racer, pretty big one, sitting there basking in the sun. And it was as surprised as I was. But again, it hauled ASS, hauled butt, and just went the opposite way from me, thank God. It didn't strike or bite me, but it just got out of the way. So, you know, number one, it's evasive maneuvers. Get the hell out when there's trouble. If you can, is their rule of thumb, which is actually a great philosophy, even for humans. You know, if there's going to be conflict or, you know, whatever, and you can get away, and you don't need to stay and defend and stand up for your beliefs to save somebody, get out of there, right? So anyway, there's no harm in that, no shame in that. So that snake took off, right? Still again, I jumped back, screamed, typical thing. And then I came to the realization this is stupid. This snake is much smaller than me. Not that size always matters, but in this case, yeah, I mean, we're much larger and have more mass and all of that. And anyway, it's just an animal. Its instinct is clearly not to bite me first. So anyway, that all that to say that was strike two. So then strike three was the most poignant, and I had to really learn the lesson after this. But it was one of those moments you never forget. I, just again, not really thinking, just grabbed up on a palm branch above me to go trim it, and the palm tree bent. It was kind of a short one, and it bent toward me, and then I just saw this big black curved shape coming at me, and it was about to land on my heart space, on my chest, right in front of me, under my face. So then instinctively, I released the branch, screamed big time, and the whole world went into slow motion. It was one of those, slow motion moments. That snake, I could almost already feel it hitting the thud of my chest, and I was so freaked out. Thank God, once again, the snake, just short of hitting me, dropped, straight down, and then hauled butt out of there. So that really woke me up. And then I thought, okay, that's number three. I've got to get over this, fear and really face it. So anyway, all that to say, I eventually did. So I was, spraying some water, and this snake wasn't near me, but again, it was a black racer. But I used water nicely. I didn't hit it like people spray cats and animals in faces. It's like, what do you call it? Like behavioral remodification. I don't do that, but I know some people do. But anyway, I used water, not touching it, but around it to kind of usher it out of the yard when I saw another one laying in the yard and I was about to cut the grass. So anyway, I just took a moment, stopped and breathed and said, okay, I've got to overcome this. Let me just watch and observe this snake. And you know what? Once you get into the mindset, I really studied the face, and it was just a beautiful, magical moment. Something connected and said, that's just another one of us. That's a life force, And I just looked at the eye and looked at the patterning, on the snake's face, and it lifted its head slightly just to kind of navigate over the taller grass. And it just kind of moved along, and it was just so graceful, so peaceful. I even got a very strong mother energy coming from it. And I thought, what am I doing being afraid? I just need to understand and be a part of this, like knowing that I could be that snake could be me. We've got the same chi, prana, life force through us, flowing through us. And we live on this planet and share it in the same time and space. And so once I could have that little moment where I am you, you are me, we are one, my God, it just transformed me. And so now, not to say I don't, get a little startled, but no, my go-to now when I look at a snake is no fear. And that has changed everything. And so just bringing that up, maybe somebody out there, I know it kind of really went long on that story, but maybe that is very important for somebody in group one to overcome your fears. And yes, it is usually by facing them and doing, facing them in a way that you're led and guided. Of course, not just like, charging up to a lion you don't know and you get eaten. Not like that. Just knowing that if you need to overcome something, put the intention out there. Help me, God, source, spirit, guides, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, whatever, whoever is your greater, higher power, your higher self, guardian angels, whoever you look to. Just say, hey, you know what? I need help with this. And another great thing is when you're about to go to bed at night, and prep your pillow or whatever you're going to lay on, just say, hey, can you guys help me with this? I'm, looking to overcome this. And you might get a beautiful dream or a vision or a little guidance in your dream state when you're least resistant to receiving that kind of advice. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to have to kind of move through the rest rather quickly. Spent a lot of time on it, but I feel it was important. Here we go. The Swan Spirit, time for a deep dive. Oh, I didn't finish my story. Sorry. I had another fourth strike. I forgot. Instead of strike three, you're out. I had a fourth strike. I was sweeping up a front porch, and all of a sudden I saw yet another, black racer. This was at a different property. And I thought, here, I'm going to be this, big, brave human and say, shoo, shoo, with a little broom, not hit it, but just kind of come near it and usher it away. And of course, I didn't know they could do this, but the black racer can coil up like a cobra coil and like stand up straight. And that freaked me the heck out. And I threw the broom down and ran inside and I said, "You win, I'm out of here." So that was in my flight state. So actually, again, I could relate to the snake, like just get the hell out when you're, facing an adversary. But anyway, back to tying the whole theme in together. Be assertive. Well, don't back down from what you believe. Courageously stand up for yourself. And so in this case, the snake does at times courageously stand up for itself. It's not just standing up for its jollies. It's usually standing up to look imposing and menacing, so you leave it the hell alone and it can survive. And in my case too, I was trying to stand up and be brave, with a broom, and then I'm like, nope, time to evasive maneuvers, get the heck out. So I want to say, yes, the message might be assertive and stand up, but it also might be to, yes, stand up for what you believe, but also know there's a time to do like the protest in the street when it makes sense. And today's inverse world, it kind of doesn't in certain ways. But it also might be to assert your strength in a way that isn't like marching on the street. It's also writing letters, or the power of the pen, or getting out and gathering your community together and meeting and, coming up with strategies to make change. There's so many ways to be assertive. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's go on. Oh, the swan, though. I think, let me see. I'm not really feeling it to get a message on the swan at the moment. I think we'll talk about it on the Earth Spirit card coming up. But in this case, what's interesting is that it's presenting its back and it's alone, which, you see a swan also in pairs. And so anyway, I think just a quick little message is that as individuals, we are each individually beautiful and powerful and graceful in and of our own right. And this one's kind of heading out of the scene. I'm not too sure why it's saying go for a deep dive when it's got the flowers and its feathers are actually coming out kind of like angel's wings. But anyway, maybe that means something to somebody. I'm not really picking up anything on that right now. Okay, Earth stability. Earth Spirit stability. We've got beautiful orbs lifting up while she's sitting there, with a beautiful glow. She's just kind of spaced out, it looks like. Kind of, I don't know, she seems very detached, disconnected. I think because what I'm getting here is complacence. The scene is actually a little too darn stable. And she just is like, all right, I'm just sitting here on this rock. So to some, this might even represent, even though it's a gorgeous, exquisite scene, it seems to be a little bit like okay, you've got stability, but then are you lacking adventure, courageousness, that daring to risk and risk things, not be too stable, because then it's just kind of complacent. Yeah, okay, so you got everything, but you don't have adventure. You don't have the unknown, which can be an amazing thrill and exciting factor. Yes, it can also be terrifying if you jump from one stable thing into the unknown. I've done that many times in my life. That might involve risking losing everything, and you might actually do it. But boy, you learn so much coming out the other side when you either rebuild or jump from one thing to another, and you gain a whole bunch of experiences. So it's a double-edged sword there. Stability is wonderful, but I think it goes back to a balance of all of it. There's times to be stable, times to risk it. And if you can find that balance or oscillate between both, you might have a more exciting life than just sitting here with the known all the time. If that means anything to anyone. Okay, we already covered the number 14 or number 5, and here we do have our swan pair. And but still, I'm not getting anything about a deep dive. I'm just getting that here this pair is very stable as well. They have each other. Apparently, they partner for life. And that's a good thing. That can be a very good thing if you're growing together and doing the deep dives in your own ways and discovering things, but also supporting each other and rising up. But again, they're kind of just sitting there like ho-hum, not doing much, compared to this one who's kind of like looking over its shoulder saying, yeah, whatever, I got everything I need and I'm going to swim off and, doesn't matter whatever I face. I know who I am. I'm confident in it and I'm extremely peaceful with that. All right, let's move along. We've got Jade. I know Jade means a lot to a lot of people. I never really connected with it for whatever reason. but be the bigger person. Absolutely. Now it's funny because here with our little snake here, you can like physically try to be the bigger person and rise up and, show yourself, present yourself as bigger. But, we all know what that means. Don't be petty. Um, being the bigger person does require an enormous amount of patience and wisdom, kind of life experience. No ego, or at least, calm the ego down. There's a purpose for everything too. Ego gets a bad rap. I know in spiritual circles, everyone's like, oh, get rid of the ego. Well, it is necessary for survival in this 3D world. But again, it's just a matter of keeping it in check, keeping it in balance, bringing it out when you need it, kind of putting it in the back burner when you don't so much. But it is important. And I'll just say, there's just like these crystals and things take time to develop over time. It may take a little time to get there to be the bigger person, but absolutely that's the way to go. Because at the end of the day, when we go through a lot of life lessons, you find that do you have to have the last word? Really? Sometimes yes, but more often than not, no. It really just doesn't matter. And when you can control your emotions and know who you are and confident in yourself, you don't have anything to prove to anybody. Anybody coming up in your face and challenging you, you just get to a point where you're like, well, so what? Just back down. You don't need to be that cobra. What are you afraid of? What are you trying to, stand up and get bigger for? So you can be the bigger person by actually not doing that. Doing the opposite. All right, now we're at Azurite. Get laser focused. And in connection with the message of being assertive and not backing down, I think that's just an automatic, it's like a given that being laser focused automatically happens when you kind of get that connection within you to stand up and be aligned, to not back down and stand up for what you believe. So that's kind of all I'm getting. There's probably another message in here for somebody else. Azure, of course, is a blue color. Maybe some of the colors in here is actually the real message for someone. Actually, to me, this is beautiful. It looks to me almost like you take a drone or, take some footage above the Amazon, looking down at the rivers and the forests. This really is very earthy energy, to get back to our Earth Spirit card. Okay, I'm going to move on. Hopefully somebody got something out of there. And I'm going to do the bonus rounds at the end because I might run out of time, the bonus angel cards. So I hope I can get there. Okay, group 2, you got the black tourmaline. We got 8, justice, number 8 in justice. And then we've got this pair. Let's see what we've got here. Take the time to review the details carefully. You will win in the end. Fair and objective decisions. All right, so we've got justice. Let's see what else yields in your cards, the rest of your cards. Got this very clear sword here. It reminds me, I did just watch The Lord of the Rings, the third book. Well, it's really all one book, 3 parts. And it was The Return of the King. They brought it back in the theaters for an anniversary edition. I forget how many decades it's been out. And I did go watch it. And of course, well, I don't want to give it away, but each sword in that book, actually the books, I highly recommend that you read those if you haven't already. The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, excuse me, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien, because they're very powerful in there, especially the second book. Again, it's all one book, the second part called The Two Towers. The depth and richness of those books are quite amazing, and it's not all slashing and battle and war like a lot of the movies do show. So I highly recommend that if you're on this channel that you read the book. Don't even watch the movies until you've read the book if you can. But anyway, because they're two totally different feelings, whether you read the book or see the movie. So the book is so rich. So that might be a message to somebody. But anyway, when you read the book, you find that all the swords have a meaning and a name that means something. All right, so let's get into the overall thing. So we're going to say, take the time to review the details carefully. You will win in the end. Fair and objective decisions. And I don't know if I read the top yet. Justice number 8. So let's get to your spirit animals here. And of course, we have the stag. Take the lead. And in group 1, I did talk about the position of the fairy, which seems to be the stag position, like in a cheerleading pose, if anyone's familiar with that. All right, the number is 58. Sorry about the focus on this, which is a 13 or a 4, if for anybody interested in the numbers. And then we have number 9, beautiful bear here. And brown bear spirit, take time out. Okay, we have an interesting little thing unfolding. I'm going to pull all the cards and then try to pull it all together. And pardon the glare of the light source here. Sometimes I'm trying to avoid that. Okay, now let's go to your sacred forest. So we have the, sorry, I didn't say it, the fairy tarot and tarot card. We have the animal spirit, and now we're going to look at the sacred forest, and we have a gem card for you as well. Okay, so this beautiful sacred forest card is the beautiful wolf spirit family, gorgeous wolf in a wintry scene. I love the way the stars and the galaxy transition into almost like to the snow. And we've got 3, the power of 3, the triad, and this is a 51, which is a 6. All right, so we're still going to put this, and you can see the aurora borealis in the background as well, just beautiful. Okay, now let's get to your gems, your stones. We have smoky quartz, let it go. Boy, let it go is quite a loaded statement, isn't it? We'll get to that. And then we have rhodonite and find a way to forgive. Very beautiful. All right, let's try to tie this all together now, if it wants to be. And hopefully something jumps out here for you before I even start reading it. So I touched on the justice, and we'll read it one more time. Take the time to review the details carefully. You will win in the end. Fair and objective decisions. Okay, now they are talking about reviewing details carefully. That does kind of lend to getting into the 3D world a bit. Yes, there's times to do that, and there's also times just to feel out the situation and trust it will all, fall into place, and that you'll be given every piece that you need along the way. But absolutely review the details carefully. There's a time too, if we're talking about contracts, if justice and things going on that way, there's a time to, yes, mark it up, edit it as you wish in your favor and in a way that's balanced for all. But there's also a time to know in your mind as you move into these things that the work and paperwork of mankind cannot touch anything to what happens in the spiritual world. So man-made documents mean jack squat is what I'm saying in the world of the spiritual. And when you know that you will win in the end, but in the spiritual sense, you will be supported on that level, no matter what a man-made paper says, because that's not God's law. That's not universal law. That's a law of man, which is, fabricated and a construct just like time on this planet. So, that's my attitude. There's no contract that there shouldn't even be written contracts. If you just, you're true to your word and the other person as well, and you salute the divinity within each person and honor that God spark within each other, there's no need for these contracts. The contracts are things, what do they call it? Binding. Does that feel good? That goes against spirit. Spirit is expansive and limitless. Nothing binds or constricts or holds anybody, especially the favorite little inverse world, kind of like beast system spirit world, is to bind you into perpetuity. Never sign anything like that. Just put a big X, put a big NA, not applicable, and write whatever you want over any contract anybody gives you. They're living documents. They're not dead and fixed to serve the person writing them if they have bad intent. Okay? If they're good intent and you're cool with it, great. All right. Time to take the lead. Like I'm saying with those contracts, you mark them up however you want. Initial it, date it, and say you're done, and do it in the spirit of, back to group number 1, standing up for yourself and just not backing down from what you believe, and courageously move forward if you need courage to do it, and mark up those documents in your favor and move on. So take the lead and do that. Be a leader. Don't be somebody who just follows contracts that others write. You're letting somebody else write your story. Why would you do that? Unless you really like that, then great, more power to you. Okay. This number 9. Number 9 is the kind of the number of completion. In some cases, like, everything has been achieved and resolved right before you get to number 10, which is like ultimate completion. It's like the ending and the beginning all in one. But anyway, beautiful bear, got some markings, the tribal mark over the heart space, and take time out. Okay. Well, it's funny because the message and the image to me do not match up for some reason, because taking time out, I guess they're implying like hibernate, like the bear knows when to keep going, continuously foraging, but also knows when that's enough, like the cutoff time, when it's time to go and hibernate instinctively. This bear doesn't look like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that bear is looking like hibernation right now. That bear is looking like absolute dead on determination. I love it. Anyway, see if anything comes off that card for you. But as far as, taking the lead and taking time out, it's funny because those are a little bit of opposing energies, at least, implying. However, it's also showing the balance, right? Because there is time to take the lead. Then there's also time to, take the time out or bow out, right? We talked about that in the first grouping with the snake. There's time to rise up and strike and defend yourself, stand up for yourself. And there's time to simply race away. I talked about a black racer, just the first go-to is to get out of the situation quickly. If you have an exit door, do it. If you don't want to and don't need to face conflict. So there's a time to stand up and strike and hold your ground, stand your ground. There's a time to take off, and they're both okay. Here, take the lead, take the time out. As long as you know the timing on which is which, that's what makes a good leader, right? All right, now we'll get to the wolf spirit family. Okay, so family, and I got to come back to our lead message. Take the time to review the details carefully. You will win in the end. Fair and objective decisions. Okay, so with the wolf spirit, I probably won't say too much about this. Maybe a white wolf means something to someone. Winning in the end. Let's see, fair and objective decisions. Taking the time to review details. Okay, I would just say in this case, I can't really tie it too well to the justice because I don't know so much about the wolf's behavior to do that. But I will just say in this case that this wolf looks like wise. I mean, if they don't exercise some wisdom and looking at details carefully, they're not going to survive in the wild. They do win in the end, especially when they act, in a pack. But you still need, what does it say? Take the lead. You need that leader for that pack so that they don't do a lot of infighting and kind of fall apart. I think that's all I'm going to say about this one. And also this just reminds me of the old, what is it? The old, not an anecdote, the story of the two wolves. Which one are you going to feed? Are you going to feed the fear, or the loving, aspects, the black or the white wolf? There's a lot more to all of this with the wolf symbology, but I'm going to leave it for now. Okay. All right, then we'll get to the cards again. I'll have to kind of speed up the pace here on the rest of the reading. My apologies to anybody who's coming up in the third pile, but maybe we'll still have time. All right, smoky quartz, let it go. There, I just want to say it's kind of self-explanatory. However, I do have a quick little story. Also, I just want to point out smoky quartz, just because I happen to research this specifically, is supposedly great, the frequencies held within, to help heal anyone with liver issues, including liver cancer. Okay, that might be significant to somebody right now. Otherwise, with the let it go, the key here is if you can't let it go, looking at the opposite way, really go within and ask yourself, why can't I let it go? And then once you kind of get to why can't I let it go, you're going to see what's in the way, and then you know yourself how to address it and how to work on it. So I have a friend just recently who had gotten in a car accident. It was a little bit more than a fender bender, but everyone walked okay. Now this is maybe not to be harsh, I'm just stating it as is, somebody who's still in extreme low vibration. And it's funny, this person's even in my circle, coming to my attention on my radar. But I have to look at this too. There's a lesson in it for all of us. Whenever two people come together, you give lessons to them, they give lessons to you. That's just how it works. And they're needed for each person for whatever reason. And so in this case, the person, was fine after the accident. Yes, it was a financial burden that should not have been placed on my friend. The other person was in the wrong, but didn't have the car insurance. And it's this whole big, could be a whole big thing, or it could be a nothing. So in this case, the friend actually even chased the person down who left the scene, without the insurance and all of that. And right away, I'm like, oh boy, this is a person that I know who loves the drama, loves to be in the 3D earth, however, has a lot of health problems as a result. And so in this case, I just advised, hey, let this go. There's a court summons, which I cannot stand the whole court system. Once you know what they're all about and how it's geared, against the free spirit and treats people as, pretty much that you're dead and have to be represented. It's a whole nother story. So it's always a very wise idea in the U.S. Stay out of the courts, if you can. But in this case, there was a summons, and the person I know, the friend's attitude was, well, I don't want that person. She can't get away with this, and she's already done other violations, yada, yada. I'm like, what are you doing? Let it go. You are ahead of the game. Your car is repaired. Above that, I don't care about the car. You are fine and you're walking away. Why do you think it's your job to be judge and jury and go after this person with a vengeance? It is not. You don't even know what they are going through. And even if they're in the wrong, they'll get their lesson another way. You don't have to be the one to do it because you have health problems. And now you're just going to exacerbate your health problems, and you're going to walk into a whole nother bag of problems because maybe these people, I am located in Miami, a lot of people have guns. You never know how someone's going to react after things like this. And then you go into court and everyone has your address and knows where you live. So anyway, I was just saying, like, the biggest question about getting back to let it go, I asked my friend, why can't you let it go? Why? And of course, the answer was, oh, because, she shouldn't get away with this. And I'm like, so what? Again, it's not your job. She's not getting away with anything. You just don't need to go in there and interfere. Anyway, that's just a story of letting it go. One example. Of course, there are many others. So if you're in a situation, you find you just can't do it, okay, well, you can solve this. Go within and ask yourself, why can't I let it go? Keep pulling that thread until you get to the real answer. And it's not just, oh, she shouldn't get away with it. If my friend keeps going deeper, she'll find out why, right? Okay, so then we have rhodonite, which is just a beautiful, beautiful, I love this stone, representing love. I covered it extensively on a previous show, so I'm not going to get into it too much here, but find a way to forgive. And, with my little story here, my personal story, yeah, it's perfectly right up the alley. Or like, why, the question that she might arrive at is, why can't I forgive? Why can't I let this go, right? So forgiveness, a wise person once told me, fun thing with forgiveness, you don't have to forgive the action, but you can forgive the person. Especially if you need help to get there, you can look at it that they are a God's spark. Underneath all the layers of what we see with our physical eyes, way, way down in there, in the core, not even way down, actually, it's in the core, in the beaming center of us all, is the God spark, cannot be denied. So even though the conditioning of this world and other things might layer it and look like crime or look like betrayal, that God spark is pure. That's what's pure and true. The rest is a show. The rest is the play. The rest of us, it's the actors. It's not who we really are. So that helped me kind of get to a good point to forgive people. And it really does work if you can get there, if you need it. All right, let's go now. We're going to leave this group for now. And let's go to number 3. So group 3 or pile 3, this is for you. And you've got a beautiful card, 9 of Summer. And look how gorgeous this is. Very magical and beautiful. Exquisite, really. Wishes come true, dreams fulfilled, a magical time in life. So I am loving this card, especially on a Friday and for the closing pile. So I'm going to go flip all the cards first, and I'm probably going to cross-reference possibly cards from the other piles, so just stay tuned here, be prepared. Okay, you've got, and I'm doing the fairy tarot. Sorry about the glare sometimes. The fairy tarot, we're going to look at animal spirits, or spirit animals rather, and then we're going to look at the sacred forest and some gems, okay? And I hope I don't have to cut this short, but I have a limited window and I ran over on the other groups. Doesn't mean you're least important. It means we'll just get to what we're supposed to right now. So we've got number 32, which is also a 5. And we have the hawk spirit, let spirit be your guide. And also, as I mentioned, and I probably didn't do it on the second group, reminder, if you want to know for the numerologies, the numbers, and the positive aspects of them, go to an Australian blog site, just look it up on the internet, and it's called Joanne Sacred Scribes Angel Numbers. And you can type in 1 digit or many digits and get beautiful, beautiful messages and, a whole nother world there. I defer you to that because she does such a great job. Okay, so we've got this hawk spirit. It's kind of implying that it's on a crescent moon, if that means anything to anybody, or that's actually, it could also just be the background and it's just standing in front of a full moon. A lot of possibilities there. I'm going to keep looking at all the rest of the cards before I try to tie this together, but let spirit be your guide. Okay. Then we have, what do you have here? We have number 1, and we have an ant, and we have ant spirit, time to collaborate. Okay, now let's look at the sacred forest oracle, and you have water spirit, manifesting dreams. This is a gorgeous card. Just going to slowly pan down, and we have a beautiful river otter, sparkling waters. Number 46, which is a 10, it's also the 1. So you got the 0 point of creation in the beginning with the number 1 in there. Beautiful card. Okay, manifesting dreams. And again, we've got wishes coming true. Whoops. Wishes come true, dreams fulfilled, a magical time of life. All right. We've got air, earth, and water spirit, all the elements except we've got fire on the table to represent. So, all right, your gems, we've got clear quartz. Get crystal clear is your message there. And of course, quartz is known as the amplifier of all the crystals. And that's why when they talk about quartz movement in watches or clocks, they actually have a piece of this in it. Do look that up. That's a fascinating thing, how those frequencies run, and the how this quartz regulates and sends out the frequencies. So I used to know that in detail. I don't now, so I'm not even going to pretend to do that. Oops, to know about that. So go ahead and look that up. You'll be happily amazed when you look at how a piece of quartz really works in the quartz clocks and watches. Okay, now we have black tourmaline, protect your energy. And it's really funny because in group 2, this is the black tourmaline. Somebody, Rockhound, found in 2008 in California, he told me. And this has a beautiful, I'm going to pick it up because it just has a beautiful weight and feel to it. This is very special. And whenever you're selecting crystals, if you're, you probably already know, you'll always go to whatever's drawn to you. So even if somebody says, oh, this one, like in the case of group 2, again, we had smoky quartz, and I had to research this for someone and trying to heal who does have liver cancer. This is smoky quartz. It's supposed to be really good to have around to work with the frequencies of that to help heal it. And so even though in this case, somebody might tell me, hey, use smoky quartz for that, I, have to have the specific piece of crystal in my hand. And even though the mind in the textbook is saying go with smoky quartz, I might find that, hey, a totally different, stone that just feels right to me is the answer to help heal. So keep that in mind, okay? Always go by feel over any, textbook or mind stuff, right? All right, so let's try to get your group together. So one more time, 9 of summer. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Wishes come true, dreams fulfilled, a magical time in life. All right, and then manifesting dreams. So we have this thing of wishes and dreams actually coming true. We've got the sparkles, the stars, like in the background, right? There's just a certain kind of magic that you can't define, and once you get the right combination, manifesting's a tricky term, a tricky concept, a tricky practice, just in the sense that it's so loaded. So I don't really want to go in the way of manifestation. I want to go here and focus more on that indescribable, that just kind of magic that just shows up to fulfill the dreams in ways you couldn't even possibly think or even imagine yourself for things to come through. And I'm not sure how we're going to tie this together, even if it wants to be. The hawk spirit, it does just go where it wants, doesn't it? It does let the spirit be its guide. The ant spirit, the ant spirit is of, the indomitable, I want to say. It's, there's nothing that can't be done. I'm not reading this as, I think they're putting the puzzle pieces as like work and play. I don't know. But to me, you could look at the ants as busybodies, always working, kind of like hive mind, just following each other. But what I like about ants is that they do have such a powerful communication with each other. If you study them as they're kind of going back and up and down a trail and finding a food source, you'll see that they've got the food source in their mouths or their mandibles or whatever those are called, and then they touch each other, from I'm just going to call it a mouth for ease, mouth to mouth, and then they keep going. And there's a whole you know, a whole detailed reasoning behind that, and it has a lot to do with energetics. And I'm not even going to pretend also on that one to know the intimate details on it, but do look it up. You know, really look up the study of ants and why they do that, why they touch face to face as they're coming and going back and forth from their food source stream. But anyway, they obviously have an interconnection and are highly sensitive with their antenna and really in touch with that. So I'll just say, to try to tie it back into our you know, our magical time in life, to me, just studying the animal kingdom, the animal world, you know, we just get so many rich lessons if we just stop for a moment and not go, ooh, an ant, you know, or, oh, get rid of this spider. Really study it. It's there as a gift to look at what it can do, and we can really draw some powerful lessons from it. All right. And then the same thing with a hawk. If you study a hawk, you know, the flight, just, you know, how they move through the air and the thermals and how they use their body. Obviously, they have keen, you know, sight and extraordinary speed. If you look at how they can rise up and then dive straight down. But anyway, I know I'm not really tying it all together, but what I'm trying to emphasize is the magic and the wonder in just studying the animals around us and drawing off of that and their spirit, their essence, and using it as valuable lessons of how we can make our lives, you know, more magical. All right. I think that's all I have for you guys. Group 3 was the lightest pile of all of them. I really just wasn't connecting in as much as the first two. So you might want to go back and choose group 1 or 2, to be honest. But let's go ahead and start with you in the bonus round. I did bring out the romance angel cards just in case somebody needs it. They're not usually my thing, but and I've said that every time now, and I know I've shown them a lot, but let me just do it because I know a lot of people do find them important and fun. Okay, so let your friends let your friends help you. Okay, and we have a beautiful scene here. The cherub is holding a crystal ball. And actually that does tie into your, you know, clear quartz down here. So ask for and accept support from others. So I'm not really going to belabor that. That's just kind of the message, though. What it's showing, though, is things, you know, are stronger and happier and more balanced if we ask for help sometimes and let everything be balanced out that way, so that we're not doing it all ourselves. We don't have to carry the full load. Even if we can, you know, we don't have to. Let the friends help. And actually, I have one other bonus card here too, which is going to be the animal spirit deck of the beaver. Beautiful card. And I'm going to just actually leave it at that. There might be a message in there for someone. I mean, I won't leave it at that. I will just say, yes, they're very industrious. They're very clever engineers, right? To be able to whittle away at a tree without it falling on themselves or in the wrong way. They know what they're doing. They seem to be constantly in motion. And they have a very interesting communication, you know, with the slapping of the tail. They have a very interesting family life, I believe, as a family unit. I think the little baby beavers are called kits. And but anyway, I'm going to leave that up to all of you to see and interpret and, you know, look into it, what that might mean for you today. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go in reverse, and let's go group 2. Hope you stayed on to the end to get your bonus card. We have romantic feelings. Again, pardon the focus on my camera. Very romantic card there, absolutely. Your feelings are real and worth exploring. And this one I'm going to leave up. This is going to be the viewer interpretation round. Let's see if that clicks with you, means anything to you. Okay? Your feelings are real and worth exploring. Okay? And now in this one, I'm going to get bonus animal spirit card. And this is the swan. And actually, that was a prominent figure in group 1, swan. And in this card, we've got interesting how it's the reflection, the mirror image, and how, you know, they always depict two swans together, the pair together for life type of thing. But they're also each one individual, even though they may look similar. Of course, we've got a different spark and soul in every living thing. Let your unique self shine and be radiant, like that burst of light. To me, that's like a big burst of light emanating out of it. And then there's a time to be stronger together, right? Help build each other up. All right. Now we'll go to group 1's bonus card, Romance Angels deck. And you have got make the effort. Okay. This one's making the effort and showing the love, right? Great love is worth taking the steps you are guided to take. Okay. So again, the viewer, this is for viewer interpretation. See if that means anything to you or not. All right, now we're going to go with the bonus animal spirit, and we have the peacock. Now in other readings, way back, I've pulled this card in earlier shows, rather, before I really kind of was playing around with these readings here. And the first thing I got with this card in the past is, yeah, this is a great, insightful, animal, spirit animal, represents divine spirit and so many, divine wisdom, divine insights. And I like the way the antenna, I look at these little plumage on the top like antenna, reaching up to the divine and receiving, and receptors receiving, current and from the ethers and from the divine. This time around, I'm not quite getting that, symbolism. I guess, trying to think, let me look back to the message, see why that popped up. That was the be assertive and don't back down, courageously stand up. Yeah, I guess this one, postures itself, of course, and makes its presence known. I don't think there's any doubt that this bird, doesn't stand up for what it believes in and what it is. It fans out all that plumage, at least the male version, the peacock, not the peahen, and displays, that it does, courageously stand up. And in this case, instead of believing in itself, it stands up to show itself and be present, right, and attract a mate or attract attention. Maybe also make itself look bigger than it is. We talked about that, like being the bigger person, if I can focus. And also how the serpent, the snake, rises up to look bigger, than what it is. That's about all I'm getting for that. So this is maybe not as, what do I want to say? It's like tying everything together as I wanted. But as I always say, hopefully something in here means something to somebody. And you know what? I think I have 2 more minutes. So let me do one more fun thing. I did put a book in the back. In honesty, I have not read this all the way through. Might be a message for somebody to look up the musicians of Bremen and Los Músicos de Bremen. It's a bilingual book. So I'm going to do the old... oh, and I pulled this because the animal spirits and spirit animals really wanted to come out prominently today on the table. So I'm going to do the little intuitive draw here, and I have my eyes closed. You can't see me. All right, my eyes are closed, and I flip the book open to the page I feel. And then usually I point with the right hand, but I can't right now. So I'm going to point just with the left. And there might be a keyword or phrase in here for somebody. Oh, this is fun. Cock-a-doodle day. There's light not far away. That speaks for itself, and there's light right there. So that might mean something to somebody. So either we got more, rooster, cock-a-doodle-doo, cock-a-doodle day energy. I think in Germany they say kikeriki for the cock-a-doodle-doo sound, and whatever, all different countries have a different sound. That's, I find interesting too. That might be a message there also. There's light not far away. That's for darn sure. It's right within you. And beyond that, it always is wherever you need it. And actually, here we go. I'm going to look at this Spanish since we do have the bilingual. Let me see if I can read it, if this will focus. If it won't focus, that's another sign. Hang on. Oh, come on. Oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah, and they go kikeriki. Well, they do it like the Germans too. Kikeriki, kikeriki, veo una lucecita ahí. So it's the same thing. Although in that translation, it's veo una lucecita ahí, is I see a little light over there or there. And here we go, there's light not far away. So that's a whole other interesting thing when we get into different languages and translations. And I'll just show you the picture since it's here. We've got a cat, dog, and a donkey in a beautiful wood. And they see the light of a house off in the distance. Okay, and I invite you to look that up further. I forget the whole moral of the story. Actually, I even forget the entire story. I need to read this. But something just said to pull it. So that might be mean something to someone. Well, anyway, I thank you for being here and spending time here. I wish you a gorgeous Friday, a gorgeous now, and tremendous peace and love. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.